Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
ECSI fans, do you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all of your sports books and track all of your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You can also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as they're the best account on the platform. Head to the App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire to download the app.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Breakfast Bankroll for Tuesday, January 30th, 2024. Our weekly trip to La La Land with good friend, colleague, partner, Travis Geiger, CXO of WagerWire. Big things are coming. We like to come on here weekly. We like to tease their app. We like to talk shop, what's going on in the world. I'm going to take a look at some Oscar updates. We might take a look at a few NFL last weekend tickets that started great, that didn't end so great. And maybe get a headliner where Travis might be the next few weekends with Zach and the rest of the gang. So shout out to WagerWire, our proud new sponsor and partner. If you haven't downloaded the app, please run over to Google Play or wherever you download these apps. It's free. Get familiar with the app. Take a look at the sports books and casinos that are available in your state. Start downloading them. Start window shopping. Start keeping track of your ROI and your bets. And if you're feeling a little froggy, you need to make a little flash cash to start the year, send an email to affiliate@wagerwire.com. Tell them JD from ECSI sent you. Zach, Travis, the rest of the team, the community, the staff, the best in the business. And great to be a part of them. And why not you guys? And they are up live at RT Sports. Head on over to rtsports.com and start putting together a few parlays and hit a few legs and start selling them like the rest of us. So without further ado, the true star of this show, the one and only Mr. Travis Geiger.
Morning, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. It's just 8 o'clock in your neck of the woods. You know, I've been up since the sun. I think I'm on my 6th cup of coffee, but who's counting?
I'm on my first. I got the Blade Runner background behind me. Show you how early it is here.
Last week, it was an amazing Tuesday. It was Oscar nomination day. Two good friends and colleagues got nominated. So for the people that weren't watching and or listening, why don't you give them a little what happened last Tuesday and where they stand today?
Yeah, so last Tuesday, the Oscar nominations for 2024 were announced, and it was quite the surprise. We saw some snubs. We saw Greta Gerwig snub, Margot Robbie snubbed for Barbie. A lot of politics going on there with Warner Brothers having to choose between Oppenheimer and Barbie to push. We saw the odds swing wildly as the guilds did their votes and the run-up to the ballots, which are voted on by the individual disciplines. So editors vote for editors, cinematographers vote for cinematographers, actors vote for actors, and on down the line. So you end up getting some of these gems that are acknowledged by their peers, and as such was the case with two of my good friends. One was the cinematographer of a black and white Spanish vampire film called El Conde, which snuck in a Best Cinematography Oscar nom. His name's Ed Lockman. And then Kevin Tent, my other good friend, editor of The Holdovers, is looking, he's actually in good position. We can go over their actual odds, Jeff, if you'd if you'd like to take a sneak peek into the world of Oscar betting, which this year is available on many sports books, including one of our partners, FanDuel, if you'd like to go check it out.
Sure. Let's pull them up.
Okay, let's check. Let's pull them up. So, all right, I got something for you here. Let's start with Best Picture. Now, I'm taking my odds from Gold Derby. It's basically a consensus site that looks at sentiment across. It's basically like AP for movies. Looks at Variety, Deadline, etc. Oppenheimer's still in the clear lead, but let's look at these second, third, fourth, fifth. It's a four-way tie for second between Killers of the Flower Moon, The Holdovers, Poor Things, and Barbie. And then you kind of got your next tier: American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Maestro, Past Lives, Zone of Interest. If I'm a betting man, and I'm looking at this four-way tie for second place right here. I think Oppenheimer is interesting, but like Barbie, it's lost a lot of momentum now that people are discovering how good of a year for movies this really is. I wouldn't be surprised if one of these two movies snuck one past the goalie, either The Holdovers or Poor Things. I think either of those movies are primed to have a really good night, and which is exciting because, like I said, my good friend Kevin Tent, boom, and see, Barbie didn't make it. This is tacked at what it was before the noms. So really interesting. Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Poor Things, The Holdovers, Anatomy of a Fall for editing. This is a foreign film. Great movie. This is nothing to knock against that, but another tight race. The field's a little bit more spread here. And then you go to cinematography. See, what's amazing about Ed sneaking into what ended up being the fifth spot, and he jumped the Zone of Interest. He was off the charts. Like, their meter peaks at 100 to 1 on this site, and he was holding 100 to 1, and then he got the nomination of his guild. He jumped to 40 to 1, and then, the day of the nominations, now 37 to 1, now he's 35 to 1. So he's climbing, he's surging. It's a snowball's chance, but if it connects with the Academy, who the voting base is 80% actors, and this director, Pablo Larraín, is a very performance-centric director, known for, Spencer, the Diana story recently, also Jackie. He did quite a few other biopics that have really, featured performances heavily. He's been noticed for. So I wouldn't count Ed out. But both of these guys are well-deserved. It's Ed's third nomination. It's his third decade receiving a nomination, so he's been excellent throughout his life. And Kevin, it's his second nomination. Kevin was he did Nebraska, he did Sideways, he did Blow, and this year he did The Holdovers with UCLA alum director Alexander Payne. So that is the Oscars, Jeff, the state of the race. And if you want to come by our Twitter tonight, we're going to have Kevin Tent, the illustrious editor of The Holdovers, as our guest. He's going to talk about the process. What's it like to be nominated? What happens between now and the actual show? What are the politics? He's also finishing his term as the president of the American Cinema Editors Society, the ACE. So whenever you guys are watching a movie and you see ACE next to a name, the American Cinema Editors, next to a cinematographer, ASC, that's the American Society of Cinematographers. These are the honor societies for those disciplines. And yeah, so he's going to come by tonight at 5 p.m. LA time, 8 p.m. New York time. Come by. We're also going to open it up for questions, anything you want to know. So that's going to be on our Twitter. We're putting that tweet out right after I get off this show. So check out @WagerWire. Make sure you follow us. We got crazy stuff like this happening all the time. I mean, we got Olympic gold medalists coming through. We got Heisman trophies coming through. We had an exclusive with Brett Favre. Our PR people wouldn't let us air. So we got all types of people coming through. That's a true story, by the way. It was probably a bad move to talk to him. But anyway, let's get into some football, yeah?
Yeah, one question about the Oscars. You talk about upsets. In my field, obviously, there's upsets every day. There's 25, 30, 40, 50 to 1 upsets at the big horse races, whether it's the Kentucky Derby, once in a while, the Breeders' Cup, etc. there. Big upsets in sports, winning tournaments, winning cups, national titles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. in all of your growing up and being in this field and being hands-on and be a part of Hollywood, upsets, are they common on the Oscars or any of the other big awards? And if so, can you go back in your memory and remember some of the bigger upsets?
Yeah, I mean, the one that sticks out as the time when people started to maybe think differently about the Oscars was when Shakespeare in Love beat Saving Private Ryan. That was a strange one. But if you look at recently, there's been some gems that have really kind of made it to the top. I mean, Moonlight, that was a $2.5 million budget, right? And it won Best Picture. Amazing against films with literally 10 times that or more when you add in the advertising. So that in The Shape of Water, which I didn't really like, but that was an odds-on. That was an interesting surge at the end. It's almost like baseball, right? Oscar season is long. This is from last January all the way. It can do Jan 1 to December 31st of the previous year. So an Oscar nominee for next year might already be in a theater this year, which is interesting. Or hitting, like Cannes is about to happen, Sundance is happening actively, right? So it's like baseball insofar as like when you're going into the playoffs, you're going into award season, you got to have a hot hand, and you got to have a hot hand going into the World Series. You can't just be limping through, the Golden Globes, the SAG Awards, as it were, et cetera. All of these things are kind of indicators that the odds makers look at because they have overlapping voting blocks. People look at the Golden Globes a lot because it's the one like really close to the Oscars, but really that's the Hollywood Foreign Press, and there's not a ton of crossover with the Academy. There's some, don't get me wrong, but we're looking at the Screen Actors Guild Awards, we're looking at the Directors Guild Awards, the Writers Guild Awards, the American Society of Cinematographers, and American Cinema Editors Awards. We're looking at the Guild Awards to determine who really is surging. A lot of the people, sometimes they'll pick a movie that they love and fixate on it. This year, it seems to be The Holdovers. I think it has something to do with there's some quarantine-y vibes to it. If you guys have seen it, it's like some isolation, rediscovery, coming of age. I think it strikes a really interesting nerve. Poor Things, kind of similar in some ways, radically different in other ways, but it's talking to kind of like this kind of brave new world that we're all in. What is the modern woman? Is capitalism still relevant? Is socialism an alternative? But it does it in kind of a hyper pop sort of way with really, really fun characters. Also talks about science and religion. So these things are touching nerves in the same way that, Barbie does and Oppenheimer does. I mean, those are, they're taking two real symbols of America, the Barbie doll and the atomic bomb, and they're creating worlds around it. So I think that this year has been a return to form for cinema. They've found a way to create escapism, but also relevance, which had been missing. And I think it's because of the state of the industry. They've had to lean and trust on their auteurs, their writers, their directors, more so than their producers. And they're little people in suits running around Century City who don't know much about making movies. Yeah.
The last question that I'll have before we then go to the sports end of this, I talked to you backstage about not my movie knowledge, but I guess where I am and how much movies that I do watch. And I guess my big question to you, and I don't understand the politics as much as obviously you do, where today's society is in streaming, the Netflix of the world, the Hulus, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Does this help or hinder cinema, the movies?
Yeah. I think it started as a great boon. Like, you got people that were making films that they could have never otherwise made because they now had something besides box office that they could point to for success or a return. But then and so you got to see some amazing, almost like when video or DVD came out, like in the 90s, you kind of got this pop of resurgence about 10 years ago. But then as the challenger became the incumbent, as happens, including in sports betting, and they started to hire all the same people away from the studios that they were disrupting, there started to be this weird kind of sameness. And now if you look at most streaming services, you basically could watch 10 things and feel like you watched one because they all run together in your mind, partially by design. But what this strike was all about and what this kind of real industry turnover was all about was you used to know box office numbers and you would know the day or the day before your movie was coming out if it was going to be a hit. Netflix, Amazon, a lot of the others they didn't release their streaming numbers, not even internally, not even to the people that worked on the movies. So you don't know if one person watched your movie or 100 million people watched your movie, and they would prefer it that way because they can cut you the same check and they run the math. So now it's getting a little bit tired, and I think you're seeing a return to theaters by people. And I think that you're going to find a lot of really talented filmmakers finding their own independent financing, doing it the old-fashioned way, and honestly building community. A lot of these creators have communities built around them. They have fan bases. They're going to leverage that. I think you're going to see the power kind of lose. Like, the producers are going to lose their grip. The platforms are going to become less relevant, and it's going to be all about the content itself. I think the same is true for sports betting and sports content.
Amazing stuff. Because of you, I will be learning a lot more daily, not just today, tomorrow, next week, but I will be picking your brain throughout the rest of this year, and I got you on speed dial. How's that?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. It's a fun time, for everything. We've got the Super Bowl barreling down, and then, as we know, it doesn't stop there. We've got madness and NBA, NHL, on to the Olympics. It's going to be a great time.
Absolutely. Let's take a look here as we are in the NFC championship game, Lions at San Fran. And by the way, congrats to you and Zach. A little cardiac arrest there on the 49ers, but they got there.
I got to be honest with you. I wanted the Lions, don't tell Zach, but let's look at this in-game chart. So this is one of the cool things that we do. People watching the show have seen us do kind of like the season longs, but we're going in game. And actually one of the things that we're working on too is when you scroll over, you can actually see what play occurred that might have knocked the live odds in a certain direction. So going into halftime, it's the Lions to lose. We all know that. So this is for everyone's knowledge. If you were to place a $100 money line bet on both teams right before kickoff, this is going to be the value of that $100 bet on its way to winning. So obviously the Lions as underdogs had more upside, so they were higher to climb, but also higher to fall. The Niners people thought were going to win, so that 100 is only going to win you 129. But what's interesting, and as you know, Jeff, like looking directionally, I kind of could feel, and maybe you could too, that the Lions had a chance of blowing it right around this top. And if you had WagerWire, you'd 3 extra money. So even if you sold half of that bet, you'd be doing pretty good, and it's better than a hedge because, as you can see, the Niners were never really as out of it as the Lions were considered kind of had it in the bag. I don't know how you want to, we're still kind of all learning what these mean together. This interesting spike here too. Just a new way to visualize it. So what are your impressions of this graph looking at it, Jeff?
Well, you get to halftime, as you talked about, 17-point lead. Lions still controlling their own destiny. And obviously the turning point, very simply, was not taking the field goal in that third quarter to go back up 17. And they decided to go for it. Once they decided, so you're at your 317 point, I think, right there. And then the fall started to happen. They go for it on fourth down. They don't get it. And then what was it, one or two plays later, Ayuk gets the 51-yard pass off the Detroit Lions helmet that sets them up first and goal. I think 1 or 2 plays later they scored. So then the downfall comes, because as the downfall and the spiral's happening, next possession was the Gibbs fumble. And as you can see right there, I think that little spike there again comes down to not taking the field goal, going for it on fourth down.
Right.
Not getting it.
That's where it seemed like, hey, actually they could wrap it up here, and then they don't. And then that's when the cross of death happens here. Wow. What a disaster, and what a sad day for the good people of the Motor City.
And I'm going to add to this. We had Ben Fox on last night, Sports Map Radio, 8 to 10 on the Diehards. And he talked about at halftime, you could have got San Francisco to beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs had already beat the Ravens at 8-1 in the Super Bowl. So not only were they down 17, if you were feeling froggy and says, hey, I think they still can come back. And you know what? I'm going to take a shot and say that they beat the Chiefs. So if you were daring and took that at 8-1, now you're sitting at a layup saying, I got 8-1 on San Fran, who's the favorite. I can go put 4 units on the Chiefs, and I'm guaranteed 4 units. I don't care who wins the game.
Yeah, I know. It's really interesting that you should say that, because really, when you get to the end of the line, the last stop on the train, all of those futures bets are essentially really, money line bets on on the game, right? So if you're thinking about, a team making a comeback in the AFC or NFC championship game, think about just placing that Super Bowl bet, because, one leads to the other, right? Really interesting you should say that. And we can bring up our new graph site later and dig into that. First, we got to just check out this one. Not exactly as good of a game it was fun to watch. It's closer than the graph made it seem like, but I think that Vegas kind of knew that Kansas City kind of had it in the bag. The Ravens hit the self-destruct button, a lot of unforced errors, a little disappointed. As you know, we were rooting for a Ravens-Lions exacta, as was my RT postseason shootout roster. But whatever.
Yeah, you could tell right there on the first possession. I was saying, "Oh my God, Kansas City's going to do it again." And again, they score, and then the Ravens come back and tie it. But after that, it was kind of Katie bar the door. Mahomes and company said, "Hold my beer, and we'll see you in Vegas."
Right. As you can see, the Ravens never got above their $100 starting price. So, one of the rare instances where this team could not have made you money at any point in the game, and Kansas City just ran away with it.
Crazy. We'll be leading up. Wheels Up for me is on Friday. I'll be landing in Vegas on Friday night. And we have Radio Row Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I hope to obviously catch up with you and Zach at some point there. Any other quickly, because I know you have a short schedule today. Anything else you wanted to pop up here?
I
know we're live.
Let's have a little fun. Like, okay, we're totally live. So just so everyone knows how real time we are, let me bring up a couple screens. So first thing I want to do, because I want to get this plug in here, RT Sports, your friends and ours, the WagerWire marketplace is now live. These are all bets that you can buy right now that other people have posted. You can also build your pick'ems and post them for sale. It's really cool. When the games start, you'll see these meters fill up, so you can kind of keep track on if you think that a leg is likely to hit. You can kind of front run it, go out, smash the buy button. Again, this is on RT Sports. You can go to rtsports.com/WagerWire if you want to deposit. Use WagerWire as the deposit code. We'll match you 100% up to $200. And this also turns pick'em into basically like live, not live betting, but it's like live pick'em. So like when this game starts, it's not like the entries are locked. Your entries are locked. Your entries aren't locked. You can sell them. These entries are for sale. If you wanted to load up before the game and wait till the markets close, you can keep playing throughout, manage it, buy in at halftime, sell it after 1 leg, 2 legs. We're going to get partial sales in there. We're adding suggested pricing and deal scores next. And this is just it's daily fantasy. It's 8:20 on the West Coast, so these are the ones that are up so far. But we've been seeing dozens posted every single day. There's a lot of fun to be had on that site. So that's RT. That's the plug. But also wanted to plug our new wagerwire.com/graph. This is, you see, when I come on Breakfast Bankroll, you see me and Jeff playing with these graphs. Well, we decided it was so fun, might as well open it up to the public. So why don't we kind of do some scenarios here? So I got Kansas City and San Francisco pulled up. So let me just pull up the other teams so you can see what happened. Detroit, Yank, boom, and Baltimore. Boom. So look at this. Baltimore off a sky high, 695.
Holy moly.
95 was the high on the 26th. What a difference a few days makes. And this is from $100. So like you can see, this is cool. And again, you guys can feel free to go here. Also download the app while you're there. But so everyone starts at 100. All right. So, and of course, one of these two is going to go to zero too. So, really interesting opportunities to capture profit when the WagerWire marketplace is live. But for now, we thought, why not give you the tools to start treating this like a financial market, like you always, like the sports broker himself right here always says. And we got multiple markets, we got multiple leagues. Why don't we build two of them here together, Jeff, before we hop? What would you like to see? I got NFL, NBA, NHL.
Let's go to NBA. We'll start at the NBA. We'll go chalk central as always. We'll start with my Boston Celtics.
Okay. Let's make it $1,000 bet just to make it more fun. You can toggle the wager amount that's custom input here. You can look at East-West championship. Okay, so we got Boston looking good, dude.
So far, so good.
I mean, yeah.
Let's take the defending champs with Denver. Okay,
Ooh.
so we're even right now. Let's go with the second favorite in the East right now, which is the Milwaukee Bucks.
Again, anyone watching, you guys can go on here right now and do the same thing. It's pretty fun. Bucks. I mean, look. I mean, the graph makes it look worse than it is. They're still in the hunt.
And as I like to say here, obviously, a perfect maybe buy low spot here on the Bucks. Right. They just fired their coach. It's an 82 game season. You got the playoffs. It's a long season. We haven't even got to the All-Star break yet, never mind the trade deadline. So if you haven't bought any Bucks and you're looking to add to your portfolio, this is a perfect time to grab the Bucks there. I'm going to go back out west here and let's go. let's go. Here's a perfect, I think, a buy low. Let's go LA Clippers.
Mm-hmm. Whoa! Look at
that.
To the moon right now.
Now this a team that started real bad, and then they rallied like 10, 11, 12, 13 in a row, playing great, like as I like to say, cooking with Crisco here. And look at their value right now with $100 wager. If I had a Clipper bet early in the season at $100 and I see the value now, I'd be like Mortimer and I'd be like, sell here. Let's get some money back into the portfolio to dabble somewhere else.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd take some of that money too. And like you said too, if you wanted to wait and see, this is another cool thing about these graphs is, looking at trend lines. If you wanted to wait and see, if you were thinking about the Bucks anyway before the season started, now you can think of it as grabbing it for a $200 discount. But it's a way to kind of visualize. And unfortunately, we don't have a way for you to sell your Clippers bet, but someone's getting a nosebleed holding that.
No way to sell it yet.
We're starting with the pick'ems, but we'll have sports bets soon. Okay, that's fun. You mentioned something about the game lines. You were saying betting the Niners for the when they were, or what were you saying to bet the Super Bowl instead of the money line?
At halftime, down 17 against the Lions. I don't know what sports book it was, but Ben was talking about on one of the apps they had the Super Bowl's odds already set up, and there was a prop where you could have got the San Francisco 49ers at halftime down 17, 8-1 to beat the Chiefs.
Ooh. Wow. Right. So we got to go in even closer. We can only zoom in. We can't zoom in quite to the game yet, but yeah, I mean, look at that pop. I mean, both of these pop. So yeah, well, I mean, eventually you're going to be able to even scroll into these graphs like inside the game, every time the line ticks and moves, just like a financial market where you get like the minute candles. So we're working on, again, I invite everyone to check this out. We're going to add more markets all the time. We got Stanley Cup, East and West. We got AFC, NFC, which is done, but we got East and West for NBA. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. I encourage everyone to go there and start treating your bets like a portfolio. Cavs, nice. John.
Any chance, Travis, we might have some college hoops up before the tournament?
Oh, heck yeah, dude. That's right on the hopper, right? We got it on our internal dashboard, which you've seen, and we're about to open it up to the public. So we test it kind of internally, make sure the data integrity is good, and then we add it for the public. So that's a huge priority, is make sure that we can watch this crazy March Madness tournament. We're also working with RT on some fun new ways to play that I'm just going to tease, but I can't really go into yet.
Well, as always, it's amazing to catch up with you on Tuesdays. Next Tuesday, I will be on your time schedule. I will be in Vegas, so we can push the time back if that works for you, or if we want us to get up early. I know you have a big weekend scheduled, so I will leave it all up to you on next week's schedule. How's that?
We'll be in London for the ICE conference. We'll be Vegas, London, and then back to Vegas for the Super Bowl. We'll see what time it is there. I don't know if any of your viewers are familiar, but that's the cabal, where everyone gets together and determines who's going to win and lose bets for the whole year. ICE London. I'm kidding. Anyway.
Lastly, plug your Twitter space again for tonight.
Yes. Okay. So this is the second Oscar nomination. Kevin Tent, editor of The Holdovers, beloved movie. You downloaded Peacock to watch the playoff game. You might as well get your money's worth before you cancel it and watch The Holdovers on Peacock, edited by my good friend Kevin Tent, editor of Blow, Nebraska, The Descendants, Sideways. The guy doesn't miss. So he'll be on live at WagerWire on our Twitter. Come by, check it out, grab a mic, say hello, ask a question. We'd love to see you. We're going to be talking. We're going to go deep dive on kind of what we talked about at the beginning of the show, and see what Kevin thinks of his odds. That'll be interesting.
Well, we can't thank you, your team, your staff, your audience, your community. Thank you. A lot of people watching, and we can't thank you enough. If you haven't jumped over to YouTube on East Coast Sports Investor, subscribe. It's free. Turn on your notifications. Never miss a show with Travis, Zach, and the rest of the community there. Myself and Riley, I know at least Riley will be back at 4:30 for the closing bell later this afternoon. Everyone else, enjoy yourself. Go follow WagerWire. Go follow Travis at WagerWire CXO, and of course the good doctor himself at WagerWire CEO. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, the one and only Travis Geiger at WagerWire, we wish everyone a blessed day. Make sure you get over to those Twitter spaces, follow along, get some Oscar information tonight. It's a can't miss. Bring your own popcorn too, and we will see you soon.
Thanks, Jeff.